Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe. Share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It is appreciated. Now, I haven't actually been that locked in to boxing over the last couple of weeks. A couple of reasons. Been events I haven't had any interest in per se, or I've just been trying to, sort of take a bit of time out, do some other things, and, just have some time to myself and loved ones and friends, etc. So I haven't seen much of anything that took place this week. I know there was a pro box card on last night. I haven't seen any of it. I don't even know the results. I probably should have checked before I started recording, but I know that there was the MVP show. Lucas Bardi was headlining that one. Again, the only result on that card that I know was the Tia the Bout fight. I know she got a first round stoppage over her opponent. Obviously, she's just come into the pro game, so the opponents aren't like the biggest and best just yet. But the stoppage looked nice, looked good. I was at the Unstoppable card, which was the all-female card at the Royal Albert Hall on Friday. So primarily, my thoughts are just going to be about that. Again, apologies if anyone was looking for other stuff. I did see, I guess before I get into that, I didn't see all of the Harlem Eubank against Tyrone McKenna fight, but I predicted that Eubank would win via unanimous decision, but he went one better, got a stoppage in the 10th round. I haven't seen the fight, but I've seen the knockdowns, the body shots, and when the referee sort of jumped in to obviously call it off when McKenna was sort of taking a bit of a shellacking. Look, ultimately, I've never really been that impressed with Harlem Eubank, but it looks like he's either developing power from somewhere, having moved up, or he's I guess maybe sitting down on shots a bit more, or he's getting better. So shout out to him. I guess the rest of the Eubank family, the extended or otherwise, I guess good performance, good results. See what happens with him moving forward. But yeah, talking about this Unstoppable card. So I was in attendance, and my initial idea was to be that in between doing interviews and stuff while I was there, I would, try and score all the fights either live ringside, or we had a direct feed monitor in one of the changing rooms, which was good. It was like a direct feed that you won't see on Sky Sports or the YouTube channel or anything like that. So you actually see a lot of the things that are happening when the program's actually off air as well, which is quite interesting. But yeah, look, going through the card, I'll go through it really sort of briefly. Like, look, Francesca Hennessy took on Gemma Rueg, and Gemma was like a last minute opponent for Fran. She had a pretty good performance. I didn't get a chance to speak to her before or after the fight, but Gemma Rueg is what she is at this point. She is firmly in that journeywoman status, but she has, notched up a couple of victories as well, sort of in the past few fights. So wasn't something to sleep on, but Fran did what she needed to do. Pretty much used good footwork, speed, tried to stay on the outside, got touched up a little bit, but nothing major. Came out pretty much from just before the Raven Chapman and Karis Artenstall fight. She was changed, dress and heels, so she was quite ready to just enjoy the rest of the night. Had a little bit of marking on her left eye, but other than that, all good. She continues on her journey, so we'll see what happens with her. Now, Chloe Watson and Jasmina Zapatochna. Admittedly, I wasn't watching and giving it my full attention. There was this older Welsh lady that was sitting sort of beside me, was asking for help with anything from the Wi-Fi inside the building to trying to upload photos to her Facebook page. That she didn't really have the strongest of phones, so yeah, it was just a bit of a nightmare in terms of trying to keep an eye on what's going on. But what I will say is I said that I need to watch that fight on TV. I need to watch it back because from what I was watching in the arena, it looked a lot like Jasmina was pretty much getting sort of pushed around, getting sort of outlanded, getting landed on, especially from the angle that I was at. That I was central. I think I was at. I'm not sure if he was doing this fight, but where, what's his name? McDonald, Michael, is it Michael McDonald, the referee from last week? He was sitting in that position, and I think, yeah, from where he was, that's kind of the area I was, just a couple rows back. And yeah, every time I sort of looked up, like Jasmina looked like she was taking shots, sort of circling around, but getting, catching some counters, but also getting hit a lot. Again, I haven't seen it back yet. So in the arena, I was expecting it to be a Chloe victory. And then they had the 97-93 card for her. I thought, okay, that seems kind of about where I was seeing it. But then there was the two 96-95 or 95-96 cards to Jasmina. I was shocked. I said, look, I'm going to have to watch this back because looking at what I'm seeing, it didn't look that way. I went into the media room. There's a couple people in there who said, no, it looked like Chloe. From where we was seeing, it looked like Chloe won that, but then some other people said, "No, Jasmine was a clear winner." So, congratulations to her, and also shout out to Jasmine because she was the only fighter that came into the media section and did any interviews at any media on the night. Chris Billum Smith sort of went in there and did something for, I think it was Boxing News, possibly Seconds Out as well, or Boxing Social. But yeah, when we was expecting the rest of the women to sort of come and give interviews. Maybe obviously not the main event, but Carrie Sartenstall never went and did anything. Raven Chapman didn't do anything. Francesca Hennessy didn't. Gemma Rueg, Chloe Watson, and anyone else. So it was just, in that sense, it felt like one of those moments where, as good as it and as nice as it kind of was to be there, you didn't really get much out of it. Shout out to Danny from Fight Fan TV. He managed to get a couple of bits of content. But yeah, it just, normally you would expect there to be more engagement with the media that have actually made the effort, because it wasn't everyone there. Put it that way is basically what I'm trying to say. Now, with that being said, we went from there to Carrie Sartenstall versus Raven Chapman. Again, it was a pretty difficult one for me to watch in terms of just people that I sort of know and support. I didn't give any predictions this week, same as last week. Obviously, I was in my predictions league. I gave my picks there, but I didn't really want to go on camera and say certain things regarding certain fights. This one, it was frustrating because in the first round, Raven was very sort of busy, was actually sort of outlanding, causing Karis problems. Karis been out of the ring for over a year, so Raven was actually doing very well, outlanded her, sort of made it a bit uncomfortable, was able to push her back a bit, took a couple of shots, but she was just outworking, and you thought, okay, she's on the right trajectory here. Second round was probably like very, very frustrating to watch because Raven was winning the second round as well. Karis still hadn't managed to get her time and was finding it very hard. She was occasionally landing that straight left backhand, but a lot of the time it was either being blocked or sort of being parried off. But then right at the end of the round, counter left straight down the pipe, knocks Raven off balance. She ends up falling, so she ends up losing the round that she was winning, 10-8 round. Some people may have said, well, if she was winning it enough, you maybe could have given it to her 10-9, but no. Karis did enough in that to make sure it was a 10-8. Then I remember I gave Karis the third round as well, I believe. And then I gave... Now, see, this is where I was with one of Raven's team. I can't remember if... No, actually, I think I gave Raven the third round. Then I gave Karis the fourth. And then I gave her the fifth and the sixth. and the seventh. And at that point, it was just looking like one-way traffic. Like she found her timing, the backhand was there. Raven was trying diligently to work, but it's almost like she got a bit holstered and gun shy after getting dropped and tasting that. The backhand clearly must have had some mustard on it, and she's like, okay, got to be a bit cautious. But the rounds are just kind of slipping away at this point, and then again, just to say, it was the third and the fourth I gave to both. I gave either way. I can't remember which one was direct, but just disclaimer in case it goes back and it's like, no, Raven clearly it was, she won the fourth round, not the third, and vice versa. But then eighth round was an interesting round because the eighth round I actually scored it a draw. I didn't think neither girl lost it as such, but neither one clearly separated himself. However, I would have said that Raven sort of came back into the ascendancy, and a member of the team was there, and they was asking me like, "How did you see it?" And they was like, "Oh, well, she's got to win everything else." And I said, "Well, look, it's not. She has to either get a knockout or she has to get knockdowns to win this fight, because that knockdown by itself, even if she claims it back up to five rounds apiece, it's not going to help." But in the eighth round, it was sort of just return. She sort of came back, started letting her hands go, almost not really being as worried or trepidatious about what was coming back, which was good to see. And yeah, so scored that one a draw. And then rounds 9 and 10, activity, work rate alone, I gave to Raven. A lot of good body shots went in, some good uppercuts on the inside as well. She still did eat a few shots, but I just felt that she just outworked, sort of out hustled Karis Arnstall. So in the end, I ended up scoring it 96-94 to Karis. So obviously that's 6 rounds to 5 really, or it's five rounds to 4 with one even. But obviously you have to take a point off for the knockdown. So yeah, 96-94, and I know one of the judges scored about 96-93. So basically similar. Gave Raven 4 rounds, but obviously had to take a point off, and gave Karis 6. Then the other judge was 97-92, 7 rounds to 3, and then the other one was 98-91, so 8 rounds to 2. Overall, couldn't really argue. Raven was soundly beaten on the night. Wasn't her night, it was Karis's night. She got her timing back. Obviously that time out of the ring clearly affected her and her timing and her maybe even her energy. That was the first time she's also ever been 10 rounds. She'd only ever been 8 before that, so that was a good learning curve for her. Now she's looking for titles in her next bout. She said that she wants to try and take a belt off of Nina Menke so that she can do a unification with Sky Nicholson. That would be an interesting proposition if Boxer can get it done. When I saw Raven Chapman initially take this fight, I had my concerns. Not because obviously I feel that she could beat Karis, but if you've been up at that world title level, like Karis at this point is not there. Wouldn't have necessarily known what level she's at, but it feels like it was a step backwards, but a step backwards with a very dangerous opponent that actually offers you no upside. Okay, there was, they had the inaugural featherweight British title on the line for it, but realistically, it's like you've just fought for a world title. Really, if anything, the step back should be trying to fight for the EBU, or going back into a final eliminator to go in for another belt. Now I know that Raven was also talking about going down to bantamweight, super bantamweight, sorry. So feeling that maybe she is a little bit undersized at 126. So it just kind of felt like this was more of a, an opportunity for Karis than Raven, which obviously I guess, look, it's a boxer show. Karis is a boxer fighter. They're going to look after their people. So yeah, it was one of those ones initially. I didn't think it was like the wisest decision to take that fight, but having said that, maybe that was the only fight on offer. I don't know obviously what the status with Queensberry will be moving forward. I hope that she gets some get backs. maybe goes another route, looks at some of the other belts that should be becoming vacant soon once Amanda Serrano finally relinquishes them. She's not fought at 126 her last 3 fights, so there's really no reason for her to be holding up everyone else down there. Or if Raven decides to go down to super bantamweight, maybe that's the route. Couple more fights, couple more bits of seasoning. Some more tactical, some more tactical adjustments. Maybe in the future, if you do get a belt, or get other opportunities, see if you can run it back with Eva and see if you can get that get back. But yeah, obviously it wasn't a night. Very disappointed, but well done to Karis, who's come back with a vengeance. Still spiteful, still punches hard, and I'm looking forward to what she decides to do next. Then we go to Chief Support, which was Caroline Dubois versus Bo Mi Re Shin. Now, I was actually speaking with Savage Dan before this fight, and he said to me that, all right, he goes, no, Shin, she's good, she's tough, she's game, but I think that's why she's going to get herself knocked out, because she will walk onto something. I told him, look, she, not only is she tough, but she knows basically how to just make it a fight that I don't think Caroline really wants. I said he goes TKO round 7, and I said no, it's gonna go unanimous decision to Caroline. He looked back at me like, sure about that? What's up, Dan? But yeah, look, that fight, look, it started off perfectly for Caroline. Look, she was just too quick at the time, too sharp, good body shots, good sort of good upper body movement, backhands, hooks, sometimes pivoting off, hook into the side of the head of Bo Mi Re Shin, who, funnily enough, she gave me some Bivol vibes in the first round, with the stance and the way that she was positioned with that wide stance, the bounce forward and backwards. I thought, okay, because bearing in mind, Dimitri is part Korean, and I know he did study kickboxing before he went into actual boxing, so maybe she probably has done the same, and that maybe just be a byproduct of sort of that area, to sort of have that kind of footwork and that kind of stance. But yeah, the second round was actually quite interesting, because even though I would still say that Caroline won the second, Shin landed that straight back hand quite a few times in that round, also some shots to the body, and she gave as good as she got. And there was an argument that you could maybe say that could have been a draw round, or possibly Shin could have nicked it. Not to me. I think Caroline won it fairly convincingly, but especially if I'm looking at the Korean judge who scored the fight a draw, I'm trying to think of the rounds that they maybe saw. The second one was close, but rounds 3 and 4 were sort of vintage Caroline Dubois. And she did, Shin ate some really heavy shots in those rounds. Really surprised that she actually managed to, that she weathered some of them in the vein that she did. And it's like every time that she ate a big shot, she just lunged forward and started letting her hands go back. And I think part of that is what gassed out Caroline Dubois towards the end. Is like, I wasn't expecting to have to work as hard as I'm working throughout this fight. I think it was in the 4th round where Shin complained of a shot to the back of the head to the referee, but then also she's taken her eyes off of Caroline's, gotten hit with a jab, and then she's looked at the referee again like, what's going on here? And then Caroline just come in with the straight backhand, caught her, and then Shin's lunged after her afterwards, like almost like a street fight. The one thing I want to say is, protect yourself at all times. Very, big rookie mistake, even though she's not a rookie. But it must be hard, right? If you're a foreign fighter fighting in the UK or America or anywhere, or even if Brits fighting in Japan or something, and someone doesn't necessarily speak your language, yeah, you get given certain commands in the dressing room. Wait to hear these words. But there's been many times I've been in the arenas, and the referees will use words outside of the words that you would probably thought they would have said in their like break, stop boxing, or like things like that. Or and it's like, if you don't know the language, you must be sometimes, you can't just use your ears to pick up what the referee's saying. Like, you sometimes have to be visual and look at them, because you need some sort of sign language or body language to try and understand what it is they're telling you. So while it was a very poor lapse of judgment on her part, I can kind of understand, maybe, or I don't really understand. I thought that was a foul. Like, I need to, what's going on? I don't understand what you're saying, kind of thing. But that notwithstanding, Caroline in round five was sort of was probably, I felt like, her last really strong round. But you could see that Shin at that point, I think, had started to say, okay, you know what? I'm not really gonna try and box with you. I'm not gonna look for the openings. Now we're just gonna go my way. So like round 6 and 7 were sort of really, really, now just, Caroline is still for me doing just enough. Although in the seventh round, I actually think Shim won that one. But Caroline's still sort of, in there trading, kind of doing what she's doing. Round 8, I felt like Caroline kind of got it back a little bit, got it back under control, realized, all right, I'm probably not going to knock this girl out. So I've just got to try and stick and move, box with her a bit, and just try not to get involved. But rounds 9 and 10, she had no choice. Shin said, at this point, all right, we're just scrapping right about now. Are you up for the fight? And that 10th round, that was an amazing round to watch. In the arena, the entire arena was going crazy. And it's funny because I was sitting beside all the Welsh people, like where, Lauren Price's people were. They were all cheering for Shin. From about round 6 onwards, it was like, come on, Shin, come on, Shin. And it was just, you think, okay, well, they say back the Brit, innit? That's what a lot of people like to peddle. But ultimately, you like what you like, and they like the grit, the determination, and the will to not just capitulate to Caroline's dominance, or perceived dominance, at the start of the fight. But yeah, round 10, I mean, look, Caroline was out on her feet, exhausted. She's managed to stay on her feet, managed to get in, sort of tried to swing away as well. There was a lot of arm punches coming from Shin. There was a couple of strong punches that went in as well. Dubois ate them. She had to show that she could dug it out, even when she was bone tired. It was just a fun fight to watch from start to finish, and it was a worthy addition to the card. Shane said that she was suffering, battling through a bit of a virus throughout the week. Obviously, didn't want to pull out. Obviously, I don't know if that is the case or not, but I hope that she's feeling much better now. Funny enough, then you had Terry Harper on Twitter X is like, oh, was you too tired to call me to mention me after this fight? And clearly, so that one's now ramping up. So them two got back into it earlier on today, which was quite funny. But yeah, look, and funny, I've said though, that particular performance is not going to quell the the people that say that, look, that she's ducking Beatrice Ferreira, that she's only trying to get the low hanging fruit, and this is why she doesn't want to take that fight, because she knows that she doesn't want to basically take on anyone that she knows can beat her. What I will say is, look, I will say that the energy is definitely different when it comes to Beatrice Ferreira's name being brought up. I'm going to see if I can actually get in touch, see if I can get her back on the channel. There is a conversation that I would like to have around that and around some other things. But yeah, look, we'll wait and see. And but ultimately, look, she won the fight. The 95-95 card, I couldn't see 5 rounds. But when I went back into the media room, there were some people. Shout out to 13th from Final Round podcast. One of the guys from there said, no, I had it 95-95. He said that that Shin swept the last 5 rounds. Interesting. So there were some people who saw what that judge saw. It doesn't help that judge was obviously the Korean judge. It's like, oh, come on, like it's one of them ones, but you just accept it, I suppose. But yeah, look, credit to Bo Mi Re Shin, showed her heart, and you definitely know that she will get more work off of this. And I wouldn't now be surprised if off the back of this, Eddie Hearn puts in a call and gets Bo Mi Re Shin to fight Beatrice Ferreira to start doing that who did it better comparison. That would be interesting, and I'm pretty sure that that one's probably going to be in talks for, for maybe sometime like May or something like that. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, great fight, very good learning experience for Caroline. Great performance by Shin, and both deserve further opportunities to reach their goals. Now we can move to the main event. Again, this is one where I didn't put obviously I didn't put out a video for predictions, but anyone in the predictions league will know what my prediction for the fight was. I saw several people thinking that Tasha Jonas would get knocked out. They believed that she would actually get stopped in this fight. I always thought it would go points. I did pick Lauren Price to win. I picked her to win via unanimous decision. I kind of thought that it would be like a 97-93-ish type fight. I just felt that, Tash will win a couple of rounds, but Lauren would win the majority. I didn't really think that she'd have the power to knock her down. I didn't really think that the speed difference between the two. I feel like there's Natasha's natural speed advantage from being the smaller woman, like frame wise, was offset, I think, by the 10 to 11 years age difference, where you naturally slow down at 40 compared to her being sort of 29, 30, almost at that peak of physical performance. Plus she's just naturally bigger, and she said it herself, too young, too fast, too big, all of that stuff, and ultimately everything she said ended up being correct. I was scoring the fight up and for the first 4 rounds. Then I ended up getting a very shocking phone call out of the blue, which basically took my attention away from the fight for like the next 4 minutes. But by that time, I looked back up and I saw the 6th round. It was looking just like the 4th and the 5th, and I just wrote on Twitter, 'cause there's no point even scoring this anymore. It was kind of hard to. I mean, it was hard for me to give Tash any rounds, but again, because there was a couple rounds I missed, I just accepted that the scorecards were what they were. One was 100-90, I think one was 98-93, and then there was one that was 98-92. So I mean, look, Tash can say that she was the first person to take rounds off Lauren Price, but ultimately, look, Lauren Price is the apex predator of that 147 division. She's a natural middleweight by trade that can make 147. All of the other girls in the division, especially like the champions or even the contenders, are all girls that actually moved up through other weights from 135, 140, in Tasha's case 130, even though she has been up as high as 154. But yeah, look, Lauren is just too big, good footwork, good punch power, good pacing, able to control tempo. I feel like her hardest task will actually be Michaela Mayer, and that's only because Michaela has a very consistent work rate. She's very flat-footed. She's not particularly quick, but she's consistent, and she's got pretty good timing. Plus, she's also got very similar dimensions to Lauren Price. She's about a similar height, if not slightly taller. And even though she's not physically, it's like she's actually filled out quite nicely into that bigger frame. But again, I feel like she's the best chance to sort of give Lauren a hard night's work, but ultimately I still think Lauren just walks through her. We had the post-fight press conference, which ended up starting after midnight on the night. Questions were asked, and I said to Lauren, look, you've it was a great performance from you, but with you being such a naturally big and so much bigger than the other girls who mostly have come up through other weight classes, do you almost feel like your challenges or you won't even really face any challenges, or your challenges are going to have to come from maybe people from higher divisions, even though there isn't the depth up there, but it's just going to have to be someone that's actually bigger than you who's going to be the only ones to challenge you? And she said, well, if they want to come down to 147, no problem, but yes, I do want to be a multi-weight world champion, so at some point I will move up, but I'm quite happy here, and I want to rule and I want to conquer 147. Based on Friday's performance, I mean, I don't think there's anyone that can challenge that at this point in time. Ultimately, the two fights for her is gonna have to be her moving up to like 160 and facing Clarissa Shields at a catch weight at 160. Um, that is pretty much the only person I can see. Maybe Tia Bout when she's had a couple more fights, but again, she's another big girl, so maybe 160 might be a bit difficult for her to make. But if I think those are going to be like the three people at those bigger weights, apart from obviously Savannah Marshall, who probably can't even make 160 again, to be honest. But does Clarissa want to go back down to making 160? I don't know. It's all up in the air at this point in time. But look, it was her night. The Welsh showed out. Obviously commiserations to Natasha Jonas. You guys know I've got a very big soft spot for Natasha. Hugged her after the fight, told her, I was proud of her, which I am. But I don't know what she does next. Maybe she can get a rematch with Michaela Mayer, potentially, if Michaela beats Sandy for a second time, because Michaela is saying she doesn't want to travel back to the UK. Now, look, Lauren Price has got every single belt apart from, what is it, the WBO, which I think is what Michaela's got. So really and truly, you don't have a choice. Like, the person that's going to pay the money for the fight is Ben Shalom and Boxer, probably in Wales, in Cardiff or somewhere like that. They could maybe get it in even like a small stadium, because that's, Lauren is the one that they're pushing. And unfortunately, I don't think the Top Rank are going to put the same level of investment into Michaela that Boxer will put into Lauren when she's got 4 belts to your 1. So the alternative might be to run it back with Natasha Jonas and maybe get revenge for the loss that you suffered, which a lot of people feel was incorrect. Not me personally, I scored it for Natasha, but I know there was a lot of people that felt that Michaela won that and that she was jobbed on the scorecard. So maybe you get Natasha to travel over to the States, you run that one back as a little keep busy until you and Lauren figure out what you're going to do for this Undisputed. Maybe you might manage to then get it on one of those Ring Magazine cards that Turkey's been doing, because obviously Lauren's got the Ring Magazine belt now. Let's see. But yeah, look, I'll probably be speaking a lot longer than I was anticipating to do, to be honest. But yeah, that was the card and the whole. It was a good card, to be fair. All the fights were competitive, barring maybe the Francesca Hennessy one, but we understood that. Again, it was probably should have watched it from home, considering that the whole media function didn't even really function the way I was expecting. But it was cool. I look forward to my next Boxer trip, which should be the Ben Whittaker and Liam Cameron 2 fight card. So yeah, you guys can look out for that. But anyway, don't forget for Fight Talk Live coming up. I think it's going to be about 9:30, 9:45 tonight. Everyone should be on the show. Maestro may be about 15-20 minutes late if it is that time, but we will all be there. We will speak about this, maybe touch on a few points from last week which weren't spoken about as well. But yeah, look, looking forward to it. I will keep you guys in mind. But thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I'll catch you on the next one. But until then, peace.